The biggest mistake I see people make after inheriting a home is thinking they need to make every decision immediately. If you recently inherited a property after losing a loved one, you're probably dealing with a lot of grief. While I understand that, you're also trying to figure out what to do with the property. If you rush into signing any paperwork, transferring the property, or accepting the first offer you receive, you could be creating expensive legal problems, delay your closing, and even potentially cost yourself thousands of dollars. Hi, I'm attorney Kishore Kapoor, a residential real estate closing attorney here in the state of Connecticut. And every day I share real life stories from real closings so you can learn from my clients' experiences and have a smooth and stress-free closing. So I'm going to share two stories with you. One's a happy one and one, unfortunately, was not so happy. But we represented a client. Their mother had died. And this was the matriarch of the family. This was the person that held the family together. Immediately after mom died, the family fell into chaos. Right? We were fighting over things that most people would consider minor. But to this family, it was such a big deal. They got the probate started, right? They hired the appropriate probate attorney, but they fought over everything. This family could not agree that the grass was green. If one brother said the grass was green, another just said, no, it had to be purple, because he couldn't just agree with his brother, because there was the loss of their mother, it rippled through the family, right? So we have a very stressful situation as it is. And mom owned a property. The brothers all agreed the house needed to be sold. We can't manage it. Probate attorney and I worked close together, hand in hand, to make sure everything got worked out. The house got listed. The house ended up getting sold. But it was stressful because, like I said, we couldn't agree to anything. Every time we needed to take one step forward, we took three back. And that's understandable. It happens. But you need the team there to help push it forward. They couldn't agree first on the purchase price. Then they couldn't agree on the offer. Part of it was one of the brothers was living in the house and didn't want to give up on having free housing. But it kicked things down the road. It caused lots of delays. It ended up actually costing them a couple $1,000s because of their inaction. They had to pay the buyer to keep the deal alive, right? The buyer's rate got expired because they couldn't agree to anything. We couldn't move forward. The key here is working with the team early on, right? Because they had the right people in place, we were able to talk to them and guide them and be as sensitive as necessary to get everybody feel like they were heard. And we worked together to make things work. The property ended up closing. The brothers each walked away with $75,000 in their pocket. They were ecstatic. Luckily, after the house sold, a lot of their stress went away. I'm happy to report that 6 months later, I ran into one of the brothers and they were all back fine and talking. The experience of losing their mother it caused ripples in the family, right? Now, most real estate closings are happy, but we do get stressful ones. This ended up happy in the end. The next closing we did, the next story I want to share with you, it wasn't so happy. We represented a buyer who was buying a house out of an estate. The son, who is the executor, there's again 3 brothers. They got all along. The son that was the executor wasn't the brightest. So he got convinced to sell the property for less than fair market value to one of the investors that came along, who turned around and sold it to my client. Now, where this became tricky was nobody put that the property was subject to probate because nobody understood what they were doing. The executor had been appointed by the probate court. He thought immediately he had the right to sell. He accepted the first offer. It was a lowball offer. My clients were paying the investor an extra $25,000 to purchase this house. The problem became because the house was not being sold for fair market value and they needed to go to probate to get approval, our closing fell apart because the seller, the executor, didn't know he needed probate court approval, And when he applied to the probate court to get the judge to approve it, his two brothers objected, saying that he was getting cheated, right? They were selling it for $100,000 less than fair market value. And they were upset that we were paying some random person $25,000. So if you're inheriting a property or you're involved in selling a property that's out of an estate, you need to make sure you have the proper people on your side and getting the proper advice. Now, that second story, the client was getting good advice. He just wasn't listening because he entered into a contract prior to consulting with anyone. If you are involved in an estate, you should be contacting your attorney every step of the way. And if you have an attorney that's representing you on your purchase or your sale, and you have a probate attorney, it's important to have everybody on the same page and talking. So before you sign anything, especially on the real estate side, be sure to have your attorney review it. We are happy to do that. If you are looking for an attorney and you're part of this probate process and you have a probate attorney and you want a real estate attorney that's going to look over everything, be sure to give my office a call. Now, there are 4 lessons that I say come out of this. Lesson number 1 is do not rush the process. There's a legal process there to protect you and the beneficiaries of the estate, and realize that everybody has a say. So make sure the legal steps are being followed, right? You know that if you're selling a property that's in probate, you need the probate judge to approve it. So make sure that's part of your contract to protect you. You also want to confirm that you have legal authority to sell. So number 2, you have to confirm that you have legal authority to sell. If you are selling with a will, the will will dictate whether you have authority or not. If you're selling without a will, you need the probate court to approve it. So knowing whether you can sell or not is important, because that means you need to be able to take steps in your contract. And it also might mean you need an attorney to review your contract to make sure you're not getting bamboozled, right? That, like our second client. And that situation, had he talked to the attorney would say, you can't sell it for less than fair market value. The probate court's never going to approve it. Number 3, talk to your family early, right? Resolve disagreements before you put offers in or accept offers, or before you really get involved in the process, right? The first 3 brothers, they probably needed some grief counseling and some support, because that could have saved them a lot of headache. But getting on the same page before you list the property makes everything run smoother. And number 4, I would say this is the most important: call your attorney. Make sure your attorney is going to be there every step of the way. Anytime you do anything, we're there to help you. Give us a call. So those are 4 lessons to take away from a situation where you inherit a property or you're the executor of a property. And every day I share real life stories from real closings, so you can have a smooth and stress-free closing. And based on the previous videos you've been watching on YouTube, YouTube has picked out this video for you to watch next, and it's going to show up there in a second. And as always, if you found this useful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos.